Have you went to school and you are still struggling check to check? Maybe you might even be one of the top 10% of people that you make six figures and you're still struggling check to check and you're not happy. And you thought six figures was the magical number. Well, think again. In this video, we're going to do a deeper dive and going to do a reaction to learn how to turn your finances around.
Old. I went to school for 8 years and paid back 80 grand in student loans to become a physical therapist with a doctoral degree. I've been making six figures for 12 years now, long time, whole boatload of money. Um, I am broke. Um, our mortgage, we're lucky enough to own a home. Our mortgage is not an overtly huge percentage of our income. We're not big spenders. We don't even spend on vacations because another piece of privilege is I married into a family that actually has a vacation home on a beach or near a beach. It's very nice. We don't pay to stay there. We're not big spenders. Um, we drive two used cars. Um, and the cost of living has nearly forced us to sell our house and move in with my mother-in-law, I guess. I don't know. Um, I didn't go to school for as long as I did and pay back 80 grand in student loans so that I could be broke. Um, this economy is horseshit.
Mhm.
It's absolute horseshit. Um, every day I wake up, I seethe with anger.
Dang.
Seethe with anger. And I work in home health and I drive through the countryside and I see gorgeous, 3, 4, 5,000 square foot houses that are being built brand new, and they're being built by boomers. Yeah, because nobody who's 41 years old right now has $500,000, 750 grand to spend on a brand new house. The average American household income is like 75 grand. The average American income for a household needed to buy a house is around 125 grand. It's insanity. Um, the only reason, get this, the only reason that I actually have been prevented from selling our house is because of TikTok. I have another account
Well,
with it's coming up on 190,000 followers. My wife and I randomly had a video get 32 million views, and overnight we were content creators. And at that moment, it was an absolute life preserver that we started making money from our content. TikTok has kept us, and we do monetize on YouTube as well, but not nearly to the degree of TikTok. TikTok has kept me from having to sell my house. If you'd have fucking told me when I was in school, when I was at the classroom building downtown, studying at midnight and probably into the early morning for a test the next day or the day after that, that, hey, one day, the only reason you won't have to sell your house because of the cost of living is because of this social media app that you're going to make videos on, and people are going to watch them. And that's the only reason you won't have to sell your house. And I haven't talked about any of this directly to this point because I guess the tariffs today doing what they're doing to the stock market. And on top of that, China pushing the pause button on the TikTok deal because of the tariffs against the Chinese, the nation of China. It put me over the edge today. So I really hate it here. I really hate it here. And again, let me make sure you guys understand. I'm a straight white, raised in church guy. People like me run the world. I get that. There's a whole lot of privilege behind what I'm saying, but wow.
I think that's a good place to stop. All right, so processing that, what is that's a
Man,
lot. 41-year-old man.
tell
He
him how
said
you really
we.
feel.
He
Shit.
said we, so I'm assuming that he's married.
And I think
When
he
you
did say
hear,
white. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So what is your thoughts when you hear that
Man, it just
from
it's
a Gen Z perspective? Hearing a millennial, kind of on the older side of millennials, if you will.
it's almost like he's saying, ring the alarm, ring the alarm. It's nothing we can do. Like it's time to panic. Like the way he's making it sound, because it's like it's making it sound like, yo, even when you do start making money, it's nothing we can do. This the conditions is just too much, and it's just like I I was listening, but then where I kind of started listening a little funny was it seemed like he started hating on the boomers a little bit. I said, dang, what the boomers do? I mean, I guess I gotta do my homework. That's a whole 2-3 generations above me, but he started hating on boomers. He said, I riding around seeing big houses. See, he started pocket watching a little bit. That's what I started to like. I don't know. But man, as a Gen Z though, it just my question just goes to what happens to money management? What happens to personal responsibility? It can't just be everybody else's fault. And I don't want, I think that's a across any generation, Gen Z. I don't want us to have to adopt that mentality of, well, shoot, well, why work hard anyways? Why get any high paying skills if we're just going to be stuck with these bad situations? I don't like that mentality.
Yeah, one, got to give him his props. He got his degree in physical therapy, so he worked hard to accomplish something to put him in position to make six figures, right? So I give him his props there. Now, what I was thinking about was where does he live?
Mm.
Because that can make or break things as well. Are you in Mississippi, which I'm being extreme,
Right.
or St. Louis somewhere, or are you in DC, Seattle? Are you in Boston? Like the cost of livings are,
It's different.
different. Uh, and so that's where my mind was going as well. Obviously, he didn't mention that part, but the other thing that I was thinking about too was when he said vacation home. Like he's married to someone that their family have vacation home. So it sounds like that they come from, or at least his wife come from folks that have done well enough for themselves. So it almost sound what I was hearing was someone that's technically in the top 10% complaining.
Right.
And I mean, and you put in the work, but there's other, but then I also heard the stats of total household income is $75,000, which I knew that already. And so there's people that are in a worser situation, uh, but he's not wrong about six figures. Could not sometimes feel like it's just not enough. Um, but then how does that give hope to someone that doesn't make six figures, right? Kind of like what you were saying. So because the other part that's not spoken about is the money management part of it. Like, what does that look like? The cost of living. Um, because I mean, I make six figures. I mean, we not out here, the rich and famous, like that.
You to be
That
crib that
show,
called
but
you yet? Dang.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you look behind me, I'm in, uh,
You got the virtual background in real life, really. That's
I'm in. Where am I? I'm in Kyoto, Kyoto. Yeah, right now. Yeah, Japan. So, and it took money management and planning and saving uh, and you talk to someone that's debt free of all consumer debt, and although it's
any
not amazing,
tariffs though, but what about the economy though? How'd you this is magic or something you have to do to do this?
and it's interesting because he said that he had been making six figures for 12 years. So my question would be, what has transpired in those 12 years
Mm.
from a money management perspective, and how has that process been going? So sometimes you got to dig a little bit deeper, but just backing it out on the macro level, he's right. The world is changing. I do like that him and his wife figured out how to make money on TikTok. I think that's pretty cool. An app. Uh, we don't. We live in a new world, and making money online is a thing. Making money on TikTok, Instagram. He mentioned YouTube, but he said they don't make as much on YouTube, and so it sounds like even with the things that he does have gripes with, he's doing okay. He's making six figures on his job. He's found out how to make good money on TikTok. So, and you hit the lotto by being a white man in America. Uh, I don't get it. you know. But anyway,
That's one. When he said that, my mom was like, well, is that 1.2 million over a 12-year span? That's, I mean, it's not like an NFL contract. That'd be 40 million for a season or two. But nah, but that's still decent. That's good, you know. So I was like you said, what happened? It's kind of how you got. It's easy to not look at it when it's your money. It's easy to look at it at how often you get paid. I don't know. I get paid 500 a week. I get paid 1,000 a week versus if you just look at it day to day or check to check, you don't look back and say, oh, over a 6 month span, this is how much I got paid. This is how much I spent. If you don't do that type of reflection, and this is how you end up going 12 years going down broke still.
now the one thing I will call out, which I don't have any, is kids. I do know with talking to people, kids could be, a pretty significant cost. But I also know people that had kids that had a moderate income and they still built wealth. And so it's for every scenario, there's someone that made it. And so it's, I guess, bringing it back full circle to what you said at the beginning. It's like, are we going to lean into, you know, woe is me, tariff this, tariff that. And it's so funny that everybody has become a tariff expert all of a
Right.
sudden when they hadn't thought about tariffs prior to, and then the dynamics of what tariffs mean, from the for the economy. Uh, but at the end of the day, politicians not going to come save any of us. Some of the policies does impact things, so can't pretend like that's not real. But at the net of it is, you still got to control your situation. You still have to put yourself in position to make that six figures, to figure out how to make this money online, to figure out, hey, maybe I need to go get a trade. Maybe I need to go get in tech sales. If you're interested in tech sales, the link in the description is below. Because right, I don't know if people have the time right now to wait 4 years, and maybe that's not your thing either. So, and maybe it is, then go down that path. But make sure, if you're going down that path, if you end up going to school, make sure it's something that is going to give you a return on your money.
Definitely.
The days of going to school just to go to school, it's not good enough. Actually, it has never been good enough. Actually, that blueprint doesn't work. But you see people have these degrees, and you asking people, how much you make? 40,000. And that's better than nothing, but it's like, you got a degree, you making 40 grand. And then when you go back and you say, well, why'd you go to school? To make money. And so it goes in this circular motion and then it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And you're like, wait, if you went to school to make money, but you're not making money, help us make that make sense.
I think until it's about, and it's hard to declare this when you're 18, 19, but it's kind of like you can't be selfish with your major too. Like if you say you really want to make money out of this, you got to figure out what is the market value. And so I think one thing that like a current trend that I noticed at my school, they just implemented an AI concentration at the undergrad and the grad level. And so I mean that's pretty cool seeing like this happen in real time. You couldn't concentrate in AI when I was there. That wasn't an option. And so I think that you got to figure out what does the market want, what do they want to pay for. And so I know we always take the extreme example of, oh, don't major in art, but in past markets where jobs were more free flowing, sure, maybe you could major in, I don't want to say English or single out a major, maybe you could get a communications major and use that to finagle it into a bunch of different jobs. But when jobs start tightening and it's like, no, this is a computer science role, you need a computer science degree, I need to see a degree and it says computer science, I'm not taking nobody else. That's when you got to be intentional, because in some markets you might have some flexibility and freedom, but when it gets tight, you need to be able to, if you said you want to make money and that's what you came to school for, it's
Yeah, I'll be honest, and I'm gonna close the stream. I'm gonna close this recording. I don't think it ever was okay to not be intentional with your degree. We as people may have told ourselves that, and it's just because maybe we may have made that decision, but it has always been important to, if you end up going down the path of education, is to be intentional with ensuring the degree path that you go down, you get a return on your money. Unless you're just going for leisure, which that's a totally different thing, where you might be in a place of privilege and come from a family of means. And so you come from a family of means, and so they afford you that opportunity. But if you're coming from a background if you're coming from a background and y'all don't have no money, you English, to be honest, communication, like some of these degrees, you really just don't have time to play around if you're looking to change the trajectory of things. And it's like, what degree fields can I and what career paths can I go down that is telling me I can make multiple six figures going down this path? I'm putting myself in, I'm playing the odds, probabilities of over time, I will make this amount of money based on data.
right.
And maybe sales has always been that. That's a path too. Plumbing, the trades. People always need that. I'm never ever gonna work on my electrical. I'm never ever gonna work on my AC. I'm gonna always call someone, and we always do call someone when we
Yeah.
need something. I'm not down there like, oh, let me fix. Hey
Once it
man,
gets
we just
past
got.
Drano's and snaking, nah, I gotta call somebody.
And so we can lie to ourselves, or we can say, you know what? The path I went down is not yielding me the results. If you went to college, it's not yielding me the results. I got to figure it out and move beyond the complaint. And the beautiful part, bringing it back to the gentleman 41, even with him being pissed, he figured it out. He figured it out. So, he figured it out. Got anything you want to add as we close?
Man, I think that with this video, it's easy. Like I said, I don't want to. You could have the takeaway of, man, woe is me. Is I might as well not do nothing. But I think what I want to take away from that video is just when it's unorthodox times and it's murky waters like it is right now, you got to find unorthodox ways to survive. And so he said he was at the verge of having to sell his house, and TikTok saved him. So we don't have to wait until our house is on the verge. I think we can get some inspiration from that story and hit the ground running and figure out what these platforms can do for us.
Absolutely. There's always opportunity out there. You just got to find it. You got to go where the opportunities are. You can't stay where you are and try to make the opportunity it be there and it's not there. You must go where the opportunity is.
Yeah.
But until the next video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We out.